Hey there, everybody, and welcome to Stamping Fun with Donna. I'm Donna, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use the Versamark 5 separate ways. That's right, this little tool is a great addition to your stamp room because you can do so much with it. So we're going to be using it to make 5 different cards using 5 different techniques. The first one is to use it as a background, as a sort of watermark-like type of look. The second one is to be using it the way most people use it, with colored or clear embossing powder. Now, Stampin' Up! Does sell embossing powders in silver, gold, white, and clear. This is obviously the silver, and that's the way we're going to be making this card. The third way is, did you know that you can turn any of your Stampin' Up! Colors into an embossing powder? That's right, this one uses shaded spruce, and I'll show you how to do that. There's also a second way you can do the same sort of thing, and that's this technique. So I'll show you both those techniques, and you'll be able to turn any color you own in Stampin' Up! Colors into an embossing powder. And then the very last way is the Stamp Resist technique. So we'll be doing that as well. Now, today we're going to be using 2 sets. The first one is in the Pine set, and the second one is the Merry Moose, which is absolutely adorable. I just got the Merry Moose and I absolutely love it. So the first card we're going to be doing is using the Versamark as a background. So I've gone ahead, because we have 5 cards to do today, and it's a lot of work already. I've gone ahead and pre-cut everything and stamped some of the things we'll be using so that we won't have to be here all day. But don't worry if I don't tell you the directions and the sizes of everything here, because you can go to my website, www.stampingfunwithdonna.com, and in the blog, every one of the cards I've made on videos are listed. All you need to do is to find the video for this one, and you will have all the directions there for yourself. So let's go ahead and put this aside, and this is clearly the card base. So what we're going to do is to take the mint macaron and create a background using this stamp, which is snow. So I'm going to go ahead and take my Versamark over here, and I do want something to protect my work surface. So I'm going to go ahead and put down a little bit of Stampin' Up! Grid paper to do that. Now, the reason for that is because we're going to be stamping all around, and you want to make sure that you stamp off the edges as well. This is a sticky pad. It works easier if you can hold it onto it so it doesn't pick up, because if I don't do this, that's what happens. And let's see, did I just get it on my paper? Not too bad. We can go ahead and work with that. So that's why you go ahead and you hold on to it. Now, all I'm doing to create this background paper is just stamping randomly. And you want to make sure you stamp some on, you stamp some at the edges, you stamp all around. Obviously, you don't have to stamp as here where we're going to be placing something on top of it, but for the most part, you just want to make sure you get enough. And I obviously don't take any care when I do this. I just go ahead and stamp wherever I think there needs to be some stamp. Now let me go ahead and quickly grab my glasses and take a look at it. Yep, that's looking pretty good. I would like to have just a little bit more here. Now, hopefully you can see this on the camera. It's very faint, the background, when you use it as a watermark, but what it does is it does get a little bit darker as time goes on, so you can see it a little bit better. So there we go. We have our snowy scene on our mint macaron. Now, I've already pre-stamped some of the flowers from the In the Pine set. So I'm going to grab the liquid glue, and there we go. Just put some liquid glue here on the back. Now, I obviously put a little bit too much right there. It gloobered out. Occasionally that happens. I do like to wipe it off a little bit if there's too much there so it doesn't gloober out. So I have a napkin, and I'll just smooch it around a little bit. There we go. Because I really like the liquid glue. You can move it around if you don't like where you first place it, or if you make a mistake, but it can gloober out of the edges if you're not too careful. So let's go ahead and put this one right here, like so. Now what we're going to do is to go ahead and adhere this to the front. So I'm going to take the liquid glue and adhere this like this, just putting it mostly on the edges. You want to get it kind of close to the edges, but not too close. And again, I think I glued it a little bit too much. So let me go ahead and just move some of it so it doesn't come out when we put it on. There we go. All right, that'll be beautiful. Okay, so now what we're going to do is to take this and to place it here, like so. Great. Now we want to put a thinking of you here, but before we do that, I thought it was kind of fun just to fold this over. You want to make sure you can try to get it kind of straight. Fold this over, and then you do want to burnish it to get a good, is that straight? No, it's not quite straight. Let's try that. I was at an angle. Try that like that. Is that better? I think in between, right there. Okay, and now you want to burnish the edge here so that you get a nice corner that sticks down. And then we're going to just put a little more glue here and stick it right down, and that should hold really well. I just thought that was a nice little touch to it. Now, we also wanted to use some of the gold thread around here, which I noticed I've already put that down and didn't use the gold thread because I was being silly. I was rushing a little bit too much. I'm just gonna take a little bit of our gold trim. This is from the Forever Greenery suite. There's a gold trim and it comes with white ribbon at the same time. And what I'm going to do here is to just sort of create a bow. There we go. I forgot where I was with the bow because I was talking too much. Sometimes that happens. And pull those two sides out, make it sort of equal. There we go. Make this one a little bit bigger so that they're a little bit more equal. There we go. Okay, so now we have this bow. Now, as I showed you in the original one I did, I just wrapped it around and tied a knot. So this one here, because I forgot to do that before I adhered it, I'm just going to go ahead and snip the ends. These have beautiful fraying ends that are just gorgeous. And now what I'm going to do is to grab a mini glue dot. These mini glue dots are awesome. I just need to find one, and then I just need to place the bow on top of it and pick it up. Now it is a little bit bigger than the bow, so I'm just going to smooch it a little bit so that it gets into a good spot and place. You know what? I think I like this even better than the original. Look at how cute that is with that little bow. And look how lovely that looks. That's absolutely beautiful. I love that. Okay, so next thing we need to do is to stamp Thinking of You. And I'm going to grab the In the Pines because the Thinking of You is in here. Let's see. There is Thinking of You right there. Okay, so let me grab that off. And then I'm going to place it onto a block. I'm reusing blocks today because I think we have a lot of different things we're going to do. And now I'm going to grab my memento, and I'm just going to go ahead and grab this with the Thinking of You, get it nice and inky, and place it right here. There we go. And there you go. Now this one here, I'm just going to fold it down for just a second. We're going to add a little bit of pearls too. So what I'm going to do is to grab my Pearl Basics and my Take Your Pick tool and just pluck one of these off, place it here, pluck another pearl off, place it here, and there you go. On the first one, I put a third one down. Let's see if we want to put a third one down. I usually like to put them in threes. I think that it's more pleasing to the eye. So there you go. There's card number 1. And that didn't take us more than a few minutes. Let's go ahead to card number 2. So card number 2 is going to have 2 different types of use of the Versamark. So the first one is to use it as a background the same way, and the second one is to use it with embossing powder. Let me go ahead and set this aside and pull this one out. Now, for this one, we're also going to be stamping off the edges, so I'm going to bring my grid paper back. I'm going to grab my glasses again. Now what we're going to do here is to stamp Season's Greetings randomly all around this piece of paper. I definitely don't want it to be in a row and the same, but if you do, that's fine. You do you. I like it to be a little bit off in different areas so that it's all different. And there we go. Let's go ahead and get some down here and just quickly stamping it wherever I feel it makes sense. And then whatever I don't like, I can always cover up with the tree. So it works really nicely. One little here, and let's get some more here and down here. Now along the bottom, I'm going to be a little more careful, and I'll show you why. I'm going to do a Season's Greetings right in the middle, one at the side, and one at this side as well. Okay, let me get this one, get it more on the paper. There we go. And then continue here sort of randomly. Just making sure to cover as much as you want so that you can see it and you know what it says, but it looks a little different. Now what I'm going to do here is to take this one, and this I've already cut with the 2 rectangular dies. I will tell you in on my blog what numbers they are so you can find out what I've used. Now we're going to use the tree with the Versamark. So here is the large tree from In the Pines. Get it full of ink from the Versamark pad. And what I'm going to do is to just place it right in the middle of this pre-cut piece of paper, just like that. Okay, get it nice and juicy down there. Now, because it's the Versamark, you can barely see it. Because before, remember, we were using it as a background stamp. So what I'm going to do here is to pull out Stampin' Up! Silver Emboss Powder. Now, what I do with my emboss powders is I put them in these Tupperwares. They actually last forever. And since they last so long, it makes sense to keep them in here and to also because you don't want to make a mess. So I put a spoon in, I sprinkle it on here, tap, tap, tap on the back. And then you want to make sure that you don't have any leftovers that in places where you don't want them. Okay, that looks beautiful. So let's set this aside. Now, I have a very old Stampin' Up! Heat tool. The ones that they have now are a little bit different. They have two different speeds, but this one just has one. But I've had this heat tool for probably 20 years. So what we're going to do now is to heat up the embossing powder, and you'll see it change as it heats up. And just place it here. See, it only takes a few seconds and it does this beautiful, beautiful job. Looks absolutely beautiful. I usually try to curl the paper afterwards because it does tend to curl up a little bit. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to remember this time, is that we wanted to put some gold thread around it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off a piece of gold thread. That should be enough. And set that back aside, and I'm going to just tie it. Now, what I like to do with this is to add a glue dot behind here because, let me bring that piece of paper back. Don't go running away, because the thread won't really stay as easily if you don't do that. If you put it on there, you can get it a little bit tighter. You can get it to stick while you're tying it. It just is a little bit easier. In my opinion. Then you want to have it be about even on both sides, bring it around here, and we're going to just tie a little knot right here. And now we should be able to tie a little bow. So there's our bow. That looks beautiful. So now what we're going to do is to use Stampin' Dimensionals to pop it up on top of the other one. Here they are. Okay, let me bring these over. And I always like to make sure that I also put one of the Stampin' Dimensionals on the gold thread, the gold trim, because it just holds it down a little bit better and it's a little bit more sturdy that way and stays where it's supposed to be. And one here, and then we'll do one in the middle. These things are great. You get 300 in a package for $4. I think last time I said it was 700, but it's actually 300 in a package for $4. So they're just over a penny a piece. So we're going to go ahead and just place this right here in the middle. Is that upside down? That is. Silly Donna. Okay, things are better when they're in the right direction. There we go. And now we have a piece of pre-cut card base out of Very Vanilla. And I'm just going to, that still had the outer packaging on it. Just going to place this right here with green glue, getting close to the edges, but not too close, but enough so that it'll stay. And we're going to go ahead and place that right here in the center. Great. And that's why I like it. You can squiggle it into place when it's not in the right place. And then I'm going to grab some rhinestones. So we have these beautiful champagne rhinestones. I'm going to pick one up and place it right at the top of the tree. And then I'm going to place, I think that's all we need. So there we go. There's our second card. We're going to go on to the third card. And I think we're not doing so well on the time. So I'm going to try to rush it up a little bit. So here's our third card. And here are the pieces from it. So I've gone ahead already and made the background using one of the Evergreen Forest embossing folder. And what I'm going to do here is to use the Stampin' Seal. I just think it works a little bit better than the liquid glue when you've got the embossed part of it. And we're going to turn this way and put this directly on here. Now, I also have cut out and already pre-done this piece of paper with some of the stitched rectangles. And here's where I'm going to show you a trick of how you can turn any ink pad into embossing, a way to emboss. So the first thing we're going to do with this one is we're going to get the Shaded Spruce ink pad. And we have also the Versamark pad. Now I'm going to take the tree, and what I'm going to do is to ink it up first in the Versamark. It's very important that you ink it in the Versamark first, and then I'm going to ink it directly on the Shaded Spruce. And it's fine to do that. You're not going to hurt your Shaded Spruce at all. And it's going to create a way for the clear embossing powder to stick to the image. So let's go ahead and place this down here. Beautiful. And now we're going to take the clear embossing powder. And again, I have it in just a Glad package that I had at home with a spoon so that I can then spoon it over here like so. And because it has the Versamark, it'll stick. And because it has the Shaded Spruce, it'll be in a color. So it works out lovely. So let's put this back down and grab our very old heat embossing tool. And there you go. We now have it embossed in the Shaded Spruce. Isn't that a great little trick? Now we're going to take some of the Stampin' Dimensionals and place them on the back here again. You don't need too many of these, but you want to have enough, and they're cheap enough. As I said, they're about a penny a piece, so that you don't want to skimp on them too much either. But that should be enough for this. So now we are going to place a ribbon on this one. Now this ribbon is, I'm going to clean up just a little bit here for just a second so that we have a nice clean working space, which I prefer. There we go. So the ribbon for this one comes with the gold trim. They come as a duo in the Forever Greenery suite, and that's in the annual catalog. It's a great ribbon. You should definitely take a look at it. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is to just pull this up just a little bit and tie a little knot right here. I actually want it a little bit lower. Don't put it down on your paper if it's got the dimensionals on it already. Let me get that a little lower. There we go. And tie this into a little knot right here. And then there we go. Now we can place this right over here on the side. I just changed this one up a little bit from the original one I did because I wanted to have a sentiment on it. So here is the sentiment that I pre-stamped and pre-cut out using one of the stitch rectangle dies as well. And I'm just going to pop this up with a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals. This one just probably needs just 2. I don't see it needing any more than that. And then place it right here. Or should we place it down? Or in the middle? Let's see. I like it a little bit up, but not all the way up. So we'll place it right here. But you can place it wherever you want to place it. That's the great thing about making your own crafts, is you can make it the way you want to make it. So for this one, I'm going to actually, I'm going to go ahead and use the pearls. I'm going to place one at the top of the tree, like so, and then just place a couple here in the corner, down here. That's why I like to use the take your pick tool, because it's easier to get it off your fingers if you use the take your pick tool. There we go. And there we go. There's card number 3. And that one is very beautiful as well. The next card we're going to be doing is going to be using the shaded spruce again, but we're using it in a different way. The first thing I'm going to do is let me place this aside and grab out our little pieces. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to be creating this background. So I'm going to be using stamps from the In the Pines stamp set, and I'm going to be doing them in shaded spruce. One here, and let's do one here slightly offset, and without re-inking, let's go ahead and do a second one so it looks like it's a little bit more in the background. And then we're going to be doing the trees over here on this side. And again, I'm going to need to put the grid paper underneath so I have some scrap, and place this a little bit higher up. They're a little bit smaller, and that way they will look like they're a little bit more in the distance, and that looks very good. Let me place that aside. Let me wipe off my fingers. I always get very inky fingers. I can never do this without putting my hands in stuff and getting ink all over them. Now what we're going to do is to go back and to take the large tree again. Now this way of making the shaded spruce into embossing powder, I like using this way better with the 2-step stamps. You can do either way. You can do it with the singular one, but then you should probably use your Stamparatus. So what I'm going to do here is to ink this up in the green and to stamp it directly on here. And we've got the outline. Now we're going to be using the inside of that stamp, the second step of the 2-step stamping. So what we're going to do here is to go ahead and to ink it up in the green and this shaded spruce and stamp it directly on top of the first stamp, the first one we did. There you go. And now I'm going to clean it off because you want to make sure you get it clean before you do the next step. So I'm just using my Stampin' Scrub to clean it off. You can use a chamois, you can use whatever it is you like. And now I'm going to use the same second second step of the stamp set and ink it up with the Versamark. So if you're using something that you think you can line up well and that you don't want to get you're worried about getting the Versamark into the colors, this is a good way to do it. Now I've done it directly on top and it's got the sticky to it. So let me grab the clear again one more time. Put this down here. Well, not really one more time. We're going to do it again later. Let me cover this up for this card with the clear embossing powder. Flick it on the back. That's the best way to get it out. And set this aside for just a second. And grab our handy dandy little heat tool. Let me move that out of the way and get this one going. I don't know about you, but I love watching that heat up and get all done. So I'm going to go cut this out with the Stampin' Emboss machine, and I'll be right back. And I'm back. Did you miss me? So just kidding around. So this is now cut out with the die set that goes with this set. Here I have what I've stamped, and I want to put the tree on. So again, I'm going to pop it up using the Stampin' Dimensionals. As you can tell, I really love a lot of dimension. So let's get this here. Good. Great. That should be enough. And we're going to pop it right here. And I love this little, I think he's supposed to be a raccoon. We're going to make him into a beaver today from the Merry Moose set. So let me go ahead and grab him, get him nice and inked but not too inked, and place him right here like so. And he's looking up at the tree. So now what I have to do is to color him in using the Stampin' Blends. So I used the Crumb Cake Light and Dark for this one. So I'm just going to pull these out and just very quickly do right around. As a matter of fact, I'm going to grab my glasses. It's always easier to color in with glasses so you can see what the heck you're doing. And I'm just going to go ahead and color in at the edge over here, particularly at this side, but get him where these lines are, where the Stampin' Up artist put lines is really where I want to color in with the darker. There we go. Okay, and now I'm going to take the lighter crumb cake and I'm just going to shade it so that there's darker areas, there's lighter areas. There we go. And now down here, I'm going to do his tail, some of it in dark and some of it in light. There we go. That's the light. And here is the dark crumb cake for the other one so that he's kind of striped. There we go. And then that branch. And now for the log, all I'm going to do is along the edges, I'm going to use the dark like this, and then take the light and just blend it so that it's shaded. There we go. And if you don't know how to use the Stampin' Blends, I have plenty of tutorials on those. Just check out stampinfunwithdonna.com or check out my YouTube channel and take a look at some of those that have the blending. There we go. So now we're almost done with this one. We do want to stamp the Season's Greetings. So I do have Season's Greetings on here, and I'm just going to place it right here on a piece of mint macaron. Make sure it gets nice and good. And then to create this banner tip, I don't know if you can see it there, but to create this banner tip here, what you want to do is you want to leave a little bit of extra room. Just chop that off. And then what you want to do is to, in the middle, do a little cut up. Then you want to go from each corner into that little cut. And if you do that, then you will have a perfect banner every time. Perfect. So now we're going to take this and the green glue and place a little glue right on here. Great. And now we're going to place this directly on here. Let's see. I made it a little bit longer this time. Let's stick it underneath the tree. But you want to do it in such a way that you don't lose your greeting. There we go, Susan's greetings. And then I'm going to take a pearl again and place a pearl after I drop it. Tell you, the take your pick tool is so much easier. I should be using it every time. Place it right there. And there you go. What we need to do is to just place this on the green, the shaded spruce piece of paper. And there we go. Get lots out there and place it here. Make sure it's even. There we go. That's why the green glue is so helpful. And now place this whole thing right onto the back. And then we have our very last technique that I'm going to be showing you, which is really awesome. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful card. All done, and didn't take all that long either. So now we're going to make our very last card using the resist technique. So what we do is we do this in clear and then we ink on top of it. And I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so for this one, we're going to be using the shimmery white. I just think it's a prettier look when it shines through than the vanilla. This was done in vanilla. You'll see the difference. So I'm going to take the piece of paper that I've already cut and I'm going to just use the stamp, the tree stamp from the Merry Moose set. I'm going to put on my glasses so I can see a little bit better what I'm doing. And we're just going to put some trees down, lay down a line of trees. Now again, because it's the Versamark and this is on the shimmery white paper, it's a little bit harder to see what you're doing while you're doing it this way. But we'll be able to see it at the end, I promise. So you just need to just be careful where you place it. Make sure that you're placing it where you want it. Let it soak in a little bit and do the very last one right here. Okay, great. And just put a couple of clouds. Let me see how this goes. Okay, so it goes like this. I have the saying on the other side. So that's the issue with my being able to see through it. So let me put that there. There's a cloud there, a cloud here. This is also from the Merry Moose set. They have these things that can be either ground or clouds. And today I'm using it as clouds. Pull out the clear emboss, trying not to touch any of the places that the powder is. There we go. And flick it off. Beautiful. Now what we're going to do is pull out our heat gun one last time and heat it up. As you can see, it doesn't take very long to do that at all, but it does make it so that it will resist the ink we are about to put on. The first thing I'm going to do is to grab one of these sponges. So these Stampin' Up! Sponges come in like a round circle. You cut them into quarters, and there's tons of them. They last forever. You just put them under the water and clean them off. Let me go ahead and grab the grid paper. And this is green. This is the shaded spruce. So I'm going to use this. You want to start off always. And then I'm going to use this on the bottom part. This is going to be our ground. So I'm just going to smoosh it around. There we go. Now, what I'm going to do is to take a napkin, paper towel, whatever you want, and just rub it. And it comes off of the trees because those resist the ink. And it looks a little bit green just because it's peeking through from the inside where those are. Now I'm going to go ahead and take Balmy Blue and open up the Balmy Blue. There we go. And do the same thing. So I'm going to take some of the ink on here, and this is going to be the sky. Start off here and then come down into here. And there's a beautiful sky on here with clouds showing through and the trees showing through. So there we go. Beautiful. I love this as the sky. I think this makes such a pretty sky. Always. All right. And then you just want to rub it in as much as you want. And now I'm going to take the napkin and just go over the trees and the clouds and get any extra ink off. And let's get any extra ink off down here. And we have this beautiful scene with clouds and trees with the shimmery white showing through from underneath. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to attach it to the Balmy Blue paper, like so, with the green glue. There we go, beautiful. And place it on here and make sure I get it in the middle where I want it, because that's a little bit off. Let me peel it off. One of the good things about using the green glue is that you have a few minutes before it totally sets. Okay, so there we go. There's our beautiful scene. Now we have our card base, and again let's go ahead and pop it up using Stampin' Dimensionals. Put it like so around the corners, putting a Stampin' Dimensional in each corner and a couple in the middle. So on a regular size piece of card, really 6 is plenty. That's what you probably need for it. And place that right here in the middle. Great. And we probably should have stamped the sentiment before we put it on, but that's okay. I'll go ahead and ink it up in tuxedo black and place it. I'm going to take this one off so I can see what I'm doing right here. There we go. And enjoy the stillness of the season. And now we have our little moosey, our cute little moosey that we are going to place into this scene. So this one just needs just a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals so that he'll be nice and solid. And let's place him, I think, right here. He's walking into the scene. There we go. And that's our last card, our 5th and last card. So I can't believe we made all the cards, but we did. Let me go ahead and grab them. So the first one we did, we used the Versamark just as a watermark in the background. The second one we did, we used the Versamark both as a background and also to keep the embossing powder on it to make it stick so we can use it as embossing powder. The third one we did, we used the Versamark and the shaded spruce on the same stamp. Did first Versamark and then shaded spruce so that we could then emboss it as a shaded spruce. The fourth one we did was we used the Versamark and then filled it in with green and then filled it in with Versamark as well. So emboss the second step of the 2-step stamping. And then the very last one we did, and maybe my favorite, I don't know if I can pick between my babies, but it's really cute, is this one here where we did the Emboss Resist technique. So that's everything. The January to June calendar is being shipped out now. So if you would like one, just give me a call or contact me, and I'll be happy to send one out to you. There is so much great stuff in here. You won't want to miss out on it. It's going to be valid from January 5th through June 2021. Make sure you get your catalog because you're not going to want to miss all the wonderful things in here. So that's everything for today. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and have a great day. Bye.